All right, let's get started. Good morning. Happy Monday. Let's see, I'm debating if I should buy some Pfizer here or not. Pfizer. Nice first green day. Kind of nice first green day. Nice trend break. Kind of looks decent. I did buy some already. What do we have? 24.41. So we got some on Friday. It's set up pretty good. So decent trend break. Nice reclaim of that moving average on the 4-hour. Daily chart, it's okay. No rush really on that. Really no rush. It's a nice deep pullback though off of this pump. 2-day pump pulled all the way back down. Looking nice. We have Nike. Trade deal talks on the 1st, November 1st. So that's kind of a big deal for Nike. Sort of following this blueprint. Sort of following that. It is due for a bounce. We do need that trade deal though, I think. That might be key for this. Probably key. So that's going to be happening on the 1st. We want to see what happens with that right around the corner. Now this is a nice deep low. We kind of filled the gap, and maybe he hasn't filled the gap yet. Hard to say. Really hard to say. Okay, let's take a look at some gappers here. REPL, biotech. Announces FDA acceptance of BLA resubmission, blah, 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 blah. FDA news. So popping up pretty big on that. Mid-ish cap stock. Kind of on the edge. BYND, same thing. This one's sort of a Reddit pump. Sort of a Reddit pump. Let me see. I got to figure out how to change titles on the stream while I'm streaming. How does that work? Can I do that? because I'd like to put these tickers out there at least so they're in the title. If I ever go back, I don't know. We'll figure it out later. Okay. Yeah, BYND. So this is a Reddit pump. The question is, how much is this going to squeeze? They're saying massive short squeeze potential. We've heard it before. How much can it go is the question. It ran up to $1. Nice gap overnight. Nice gap up overnight. It's about 90% gap up to the peak. So obviously going to have some profit takers in. Pretty clearly. So is this going to pull back and fill the gap now back to the downside towards 70 cents? Possibly. It is possible. There's also a gap to the upside up to $2. So how crazy is it going to get? Hard to say. It is hard to say. Let me pull up this on the dilution tracker. Potential dilution. I think they closed out some dilution recently. That was the news back here on the 16th. Yeah, right here. So where does it say it? So we have the lockup restrictions applied to 300 million shares issued on October 15th. Will expire as of 5 p.m. Until 5 p.m. October 16th. So I need to dig into this some more, but it looks like potentially these warrants are about to expire, or they did expire. Which is kind of a big deal. You get 300 million of them. It's quite a few. Which will not become dilution. If that's the case, these things kind of difficult to figure out on the fly. Not a ton of time here before the open. But it's interesting that the Reddit situation, they have shut down the subreddit for the Beyond Meat. So it's possible that, I don't know, it's trying to become GameStop 2.0. I don't know why Reddit wants to shut down. Talks about different stocks. But if they're trying to shut it down, maybe that's bad for the stock. Anyways, very interesting one to watch. I'll have to dig into that filing in a bit. Let's get through the rest of these. We have FGI. FGI, not really up enough. It's a decent gap. decent gap. That's pretty much it. IOBT, kind of okay. What's the news on this one? Biotech again. Phase 3 results, fine. Ranny, we have a gap up overnight. Not super extended, but maybe it's okay to take a trade on. We are looking to short sell. That's pretty much all we have. Not a ton this morning. There's a few. So we'll see what we end up with at the end of the day. That is pretty much it for the pre-market small caps. Several things this week coming up. We have the trade deal talk with China on the 1st. Well, not this week, but it's coming up soon. Definitely something to keep an eye on. Going to impact these stocks like Nike. We do swings. We do have swings on. So going to be heavily impacted by the trade talk, I would imagine. Plus Lulu. Okay, we're looking to buy this trend break right here. When this happens, we've done this several times. Done different stocks. So we want to see what happens with this. Here we go. Yeah, not too much in the pre-market for small cap. We went over everything, mainly Beyond Meat, which has become a sub-dollar stock. Kind of crazy. Is there a turnaround for Beyond Meat? I don't know. Nobody wants to eat fake meat, as it turns out. So is it going to go lower? Is it going to bounce? Good morning. Good morning. All right. So that's everything we've gone through. REPL, Beyond, FGI, IOBT, Ranny. That's about it for today. Okay, maybe something else pops in. Oh, we did have AZTR. This one is interesting too. Positive results. Another biotech. All right. Let me check out the details on that one closer. August offering withdrawn. Not too much going on, but there's a shelf offering on the table. It's up on the shelf. They might take it off the shelf. But yeah, I want to see this beyond dilution situation. What is going on with this? Do a little bit of research here with this. Beyond Meat. SEC filings. What do we have here? There's an effect on the 30th. Okay. So here's the S3. This is registering an offering or warrants something dilutive. Typically, look at the S3. So here it is. We have 9.5 million shares. Okay. Issuable upon exercise warrants. Okay, June 26th and September 18th. Interesting. So September 18th. So we look at this chart and can see where's September 18th? Back over here. Okay. So this is this is the date. So there's no pump over there, but the stock was trading higher. So 280, 285 right there. It fell off pretty hard recently. So that is interesting. Now there's going to be all kinds of terms in this. Come to the offering itself right here. Let's see, we got RDHL, another one. Got to pay attention a little bit. Right, so there we go. Pretty much the same thing we just read. 9.5 million shares common stock issuable upon exercise of 9.5 million warrants that were granted to the selling security holder in connection with the making of the delayed draw term, blah, 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 blah. But what does it mean? Okay, you're going to receive $3.1 million from the exercise of warrants. Okay, let's see here. What is the exercise price? Is there an exercise price? Do they care? Are they just going to dilute heavily? That's what we need to know. That's what we need to know. Let's see here. I don't know if it says. Here we go. So this says the exercise price is $3.26 per share, which doesn't make a lot of sense. That was on June 26th. They don't make it easy to figure out all the details quickly. But that would explain why, if this was issued back in September or June, you can see it was a higher price stock back then. So then if they're selling into it back then, kind of slamming it down below $1, this could rip back up. On the daily chart, you can see all this accumulation right here. This is all accumulation on massive volume. Pretty massive volume. And on this last day, especially 400 million shares traded on Friday, gapped up overnight. Pretty impressive. So we'll see if it has the juice to keep going or not. I kind of think it would make sense for a pullback, maybe consolidate for a few days and then break out, maybe try to fill the gap then. It's possible that it just happens today. Really hard to say though. Really hard to say. So many different ways it could play out. So we'll see what happens. It is a potential squeeze. Probably a lot of people selling into the gap up too. It's quite a gap up. Let's check in on the swings. We got potentially Coinbase setting up. It's going to depend a lot on crypto. Obviously, it's all dependent on crypto. But there is a nice little trend break here. Pull it in on the 4-hour. Yeah, it's okay looking. Not the best trend line. Get rid of that. But it is pretty much set up for a big move. We'll see if it plays out. Fingers crossed on that one. But yeah, no need to be early. Could even do a trend like this. Wait for it to get back up there. Maybe get it on this 20 cross. Could get it here, risking down here, 280 area. Totally possible. Let's take a look at Bitcoin back to 110. I am kind of guessing that we're going to see this kind of action. Maybe more pullback, maybe consolidation a little bit. And then once it sets up, possibly it goes higher. So I do think it could make it to 150. Pretty soon. Wouldn't be surprising at all. Maybe not as explosive as it has been in the past, but I think at least it's got one more push out of it at least. But we'll see how it plays out. It's kind of a deep pullback here on Bitcoin. So it looks like it needs to consolidate a bit longer before we get a bigger breakout. Hello, hello. Just doing some pre-market prep, small cap, covered small cap, and looking at some big cap swing stuff before the open. Gonna have to focus up here in a minute. But yeah, Lulu again, probably prime for an entry, I would guess, for a swing here. China trade deal coming up on the 1st of November. Talks at least. So we'll see what happens on the 1st. That meeting is still scheduled. Xi and Trump will be talking on the 1st. So, good morning, Scotty. It's going to be a big impact to these China stocks or stocks that are impacted by tariffs. You know, Trump came out saying 100% tariff on China. And, you know, they're meeting up on the 1st to really discuss the deal. So it's probably just negotiation tactics, I would imagine. And probably they're going to have a deal on the 1st. So, based on where Lulu is, this is pretty much bottomed out as far as I can tell. Yeah, 70% pullback off the top is a big deal. And it's hard to get these kind of companies, established, well-known companies, at a 70% discount. So it does hinge on the trade deal, though. So keeping a close watch on that. Also, Pfizer kind of set up. Possible inverse head and shoulders right here at the bottom, which is a common bottom pattern. Never really know for sure. But there is talks with Pfizer as well. Trump's touching everything. And that's why this pumped back here in these 2 days. pumped up, and it pulled all the way back down. So looking for the swing on this one too. Already started adding in Pfizer. Here's the bell. Good luck, everyone. I'm gonna focus up here, see what we can do. Beyond is fascinating. Possibly could squeeze. Could just fade. Ideally for me, Beyond pulls back today. Sort of does a gap fill and then maybe sets up later, maybe this week or next week, for a bigger breakout to fill the gap up to $2. That would be the hope. I know a lot of people had this long overnight, and they're going to be selling this into the gap up. I know some people that have already sold in pre-market and had some record trades for the overnight trade over the weekend play. Really wouldn't be surprised if this just gets sold into, but yeah, it's kind of a toss-up. So we'll see what we get. So far, dollar's holding. It's shown that it can move pretty quick here in pre-market. Fake meat's not a thing anymore. I guess people don't like fake meat, you know? It might make a comeback. But right now it's just a dilution machine. And we got Reddit pumping it. So is Reddit right? Is this the next GameStop? Or is fake meat going to fade? Really hard to say. This is a heavily shorted stock. So you never know with these super high short interest stocks how they're going to play out. But I would suspect we need some consolidation. It's a pretty nice gap up today. All right, testing 95s. Yeah, when you get a gap like this, it wants to fill that gap so bad. See if it can do it. It's got a ways to go. Back to 92s. Tap 92s for a second. Now, there's always a chance it does dip and rip type move. Randy kind of has a nice looking trend line on it. See if Randy cracks that trend line, it's probably game over. Beyond back to 91. See, ideally, I don't like these whenever they're so close to the previous day levels. I like extension for a short. It's kind of extended because the previous day was huge, but it's still relatively, it's close to those levels. So potentially it tops out here, but it's not really extended from yesterday's levels. But it is a pretty nice looking trend line. It's sort of just in a wedge right here, just wedging, tightening, trying to squeeze. Great call for beyond. Not a problem. Yeah, Randy's trying to squeeze. Not really sure if he can do it. Possibly fakes out this level. Previous day's high right at 240. And then rolls over. is looking squeezy right here. But yeah, if I was going to short it, you know, best case scenario, fake out 240, push over just a little bit, maybe push up to 250, 260, little double top action, and then crack 240, roll over at 10 o'clock. Pretty much best case scenario. It's tough to be perfect though. Repel maybe topped out. These things love to push up to $10. And that's the end. Sometimes. Never financial advice, of course. But the games are played with these things. Algos take control of these kind of things and retail gets involved. It's more of a mid-cap-ish stock, so not my favorite kind of stock, but the pattern is there. Okay, BYND testing 94. Wouldn't be surprised if this just comes back down into the 80s. Randy's trying to squeeze still. It's deciding. NUAI is a really interesting one too. This is one of our only multi-day runners right now. But look at this beautiful daily chart. This is like textbook small cap breakout stuff. Big build up. See, it's multiple breakouts. So you get this breakout right here. Breakout level right there. Boom. Breakout. Pushes up. Pulls back. Higher low. Another breakout level right here. It's kind of just chopping its way up. It's a little choppy one, but classic pattern though. And now we've seen yet another little breakout. Big green day on Friday, into the gap up overnight. Is this the top? Question mark. I tend to like the trend breaks on these. So if you do like some kind of trend break like this, pretty much the safest way to do it for me. Or a big mega overextension overnight, gap up. This had a little gap. Not a massive gap. 20%. Not that big. It's okay. I'd rather see a 50% gap. Did have a nice push into the end of the day on Friday. So, right into the breakout. That's kind of a clean overnight. See, if you want an overnight trade, this is it. Get a multi-day breakout. Pushing the breakout level right at the end of the day on a Friday. Swing it overnight. Sell into the gap up. Clean. 25%, 20% trade. Just overnight. Same exact setup too. Not only that, same exact setup. Back here on the 14th. Exactly the same. Exactly the same setup right here again. On the 25th. 9:25. Same thing. So there's 3 cases right there for the exact same trade setup on this stock. Pretty impressive. That's maybe 60%, 70, 80% overall. Three different trades. So it's probably topped out here, but not my favorite kind of short. Yeah, BYND back into the 80s. Looking good. See, this FGI one faded so well. 4 a.m. trade, though. Got to be up early for that one. So we'll see if BYND can come on down. I know everyone's looking for the next GameStop, but that may never happen again. It probably will happen again, actually. We had Carvana. That was basically a GameStop. GameStop was another GameStop. Basically, Intel was another GameStop, kind of. Kind of, sort of. More of a Trump pump, but yikes. Yeah, we had it in the 19s, if you can believe that. Sold it. Where did I sell it? Around 24. Should have never sold it. Should have never sold that one. It's at 38 right now. Not the best at swings, though. But we're getting there. Just got to be more patient on these entries. Really nice entries. Let it go. Just let it run for a month or 2 or 3. See where it lands. Nothing wrong with that. There will be more. UNH was insane too. Yeah, there's just so many. There's so many. All right, let's focus here on BYND. Randy's still trying to get up there. Still holding trend. The thing with this too is you've got this 415 pop right there in the morning. And it pushed the breakout level right there. So it kind of tested the squeeze potential a bit right there. And it could have kept going right there, but it didn't. So potentially it's topped out. Could always build back up and try one more time. Well, SPY is rebounding crazy. Jeez. SPY is trying to get back up to the all-time high. You know, it's funny how it goes from looking like it's on the verge of collapse to sort of turning into a bear trap and then squeezing everybody out to new all-time highs. You know, what is the high here? It's what, 674. We're at 669 right now. So not far off. A lot of times too, when you get a nice trend break like this, if this trend breaks and it reclaims, that becomes bear trap. And then we get a squeeze, pretty aggressive squeeze, probably up towards 700 pretty quickly. So that's the trick with this. Is it actually broken trend, and is it retesting trend? And if it fails, it's going to come down, but if it reclaims, we're going to new highs for sure. Almost certainly. Yep. Got a decent blueprint for this one too. SPY. I would suspect, yeah. I think SPY is probably going to look something like this over the next several months. Maybe just kind of choppy. Chopping its way up higher and higher until finally topping out maybe in 2027. We'll see if it tracks with that or not, but I don't think we're topping out yet. Right beyond trying to come back up. Can it go up? Nobody knows. Most likely down though. Looks like it's going to try to do a 10 a.m. squeeze. Tag the dollar. Can it keep going or not? It's going to try. Could do it. It could definitely do it. Just never know how much they're diluting into this stuff. It's trading good volume. 300 million on the day. Randy looks like it's done. All right, Beyond tested $1. It's deciding if it wants to squeeze. So far getting stuffed. Beyond testing below, a lot of pre-market action. True. Here we go, Ranny. You can see that trend broke. So I'd be concerned if that trend reclaims too much if I was short. Basically, previous day's close is a good target area on this. Yeah, NUAI not exactly going down. Still could work, but not the best extension from the previous day's close. Could work. If I was short this one, I would risk right around 585. I don't have this one on, so just keeping an eye on it. I really hope it keeps going, though. If it goes one more day, this could be really nice. Getting some more biotechs running. ANRO. Got some sort of FDA clearance. $50 million private placement. phase 3 study by early 2027. Nice breakout chart. Biotechs don't have the best history of running. They're pretty choppy. G-sit. Wow, look at that. Incredible. What is this thing? $5 to 17. All today. Some sort of earnings results for the news. Compute and memory APU achieves GPU class AI performance at a fraction of the energy cost. That's the other news. So they dropped 2 press releases. So they wanted to double pump this one. Double pump it. What else? Can match GPU level performance for large scale AI applications. So using the AI keyword. Okay, so we're pumping with using AI keywords and GPU and Q3 earnings results all at once. G-sit. Interesting. Amazing breakout. Incredible move. This one's been a liquidity trap in the past. This is a liquidity trap. Right back here. Big volume up front. Doesn't go down much. Squeezing out those short sellers that swing from these first couple of days. And then it comes down. Classic double top fake out action. Classic double top fake out action again right here. Same exact pattern. Same exact pattern again right here. So now we're seeing a breakout. Huge breakout. Pretty massive. So probably because of how this is traded in the past, it tends to do this liquidity trap action. Disgusting. If you're trying to short, it's actually It's okay if you're long, but man, that is choppy breakout right there. Not the nicest breakout. Over here, incredible gap and rip right through that breakout level. So not necessarily something I would touch today or at all. If anything, it was a long setup for a multi-day breakout. Even that's difficult though for me. It didn't set up how I like it. But man, pretty incredible move. And these tend to be halt fest. You can see it's halted now. It's halted multiple times already today. Halt gap, halt gap, halt gap. Kind of gross. The long is incredible though. If you could hit the long on this. Not super easy though. Incredible potential. 50, 60, 70% move. All from buying a high day breakout. But I've tried these before and I usually just get chopped up on them, so tend to just avoid. There's just no controlling risk on something like this. Better for longs than for shorts, though. I did take a short on Quantum. This is a swing short. Let's see, where is it? Rigetti. Yeah, RGTI. This is sort of what I'm hoping for. I feel like the top is in. And we got the trend break back here, so I short on the trend break. I think this is just a mega extended short squeeze. Quantum is a joke. Jokes can last longer than you think. But we hit the short over there. And I'm hoping this just comes back down pretty aggressively. It might have a little bounce in it. We'll see if it follows this blueprint or not. Doesn't have to. But that's the hope. Also, another trend break coming over here. We're going to double up at least on that break also. And try to fade this back into the 20s. Actually looks a lot like this pattern right here. Pretty much the same pattern. All right, I think we're going to call it there. Got several shorts on. I will update the Discord later. We'll see how we end up. See if we have anything nice. So far, things are going pretty well. So we'll see how these play out later in the day. Good luck, everyone. We'll be back at it tomorrow.